Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerdsNeed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Coming in, co-hosting from the Borough of Kings.
USA! Hello, Brooklyn!
There we go.
I'm just glad you didn't play anything twice, because last night, the last time you did that, we got dinged for it.
Oh, no!
It wasn't anything serious. They're just like, hey, you just can't play this in certain countries.
Hey.
But yes, folks, this is the Comic Book Chronicles, and you can find this podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network, that's CSPN.US.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the 5-star reviews because that's important to help people find us on Apple Podcasts.
Verily. And you can find us recording mostly every Thursday night. We're on a Friday tonight, but hey, things happen. But you can mostly find us on Thursday nights recording live on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Again, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that you know when we are on recording live and broadcasting.
We've got a pretty stellar week this week, I must say, in the words of Ed Grimley, because not only, as we are about to start with, have the finale of Star Wars Ahsoka, which is episode 8 of season 1, possibly, maybe, we don't know. But season 2 premiere of Loki season 2, which we'll get into after that, and then we're gonna get into a good bit of books, some good stuff this week. So, without further ado, let us start off with our spoiler-free recap as Agent 70 preps the bell.
Spoiler light, because we will be talking about lots of Star Wars stuff and a little bit of speculation on our part as to where things may go from here. So here we go. Spoilers incoming, at least the lightest spoilers, for the first season of Ahsoka, the last episode of it, in 3, 2, 1.
So episode 8, which is again the finale of season 1, or possibly the series, we don't know at this point, is called The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord, which is funny on two reasons. Because I feel like someone made the allusion to the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in an Easter egg video that I saw a week or two back. But also, funnily enough, has a similar structured name as one of the books that I read. Actually, both of us read this week, which is kind of funny. But we'll get to that book in a moment. So yeah, we basically Ahsoka and crew got to various places on the chessboard. Things happened. This is me going broad first of all. There may or may not have been another reunion. There should personally have been an after credit scene, but there was not.
No, that's a Marvel thing, and spoiler alert,
Wouldn't be the first time.
we just got one.
We did.
Anyway,
we'll get to that in a minute.
Carry on.
But yes, we got a couple of good. Well, yeah, we got actually a couple of good fights. We got some interesting action sequences as well. Yes, I was happy to see let's say the last fight between a couple of people,
right,
which ended up being the last fight.
Right,
for a
right,
couple
right,
of
right, right,
people.
right. You know what? You know who they could have used in this episode?
Who's that?
Uh, uh, Sheriff Rick and you know, maybe Shane too. You couldn't protect her, Rick. You know, I thought that was kind of an amusing twist in this episode. You know,
I'm assuming that's a Walking Dead reference that I'm barely
yes,
yes that
yes, yes, yes.
I
Rick
barely caught
Grimes.
whiff of. Yes, yeah. I gathered
Yes.
that much off of it, but I was like, well, I have not seen enough of it to know where that came in. So, but I
Gotcha,
grasped
gotcha,
it.
gotcha.
I grasped it.
Yeah. I tried to think of, like, obviously Rick Grimes is the main lead character for a lot of that book
Mm-hmm.
and series, so I figured I'd use him first. And Shane was played by uh
Barenthal,
uh
wasn't it?
what's that?
Was that Barenthal?
Yeah, John Bernthal. Thank you
Yeah.
for the name.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say the Punisher.
Yeah. I was about to. Why do I even know that? That's the funny part about it.
John Bernthal, yeah.
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 So, but anyway, but yeah, it is a very curious. We are left in a very curious place where some characters are in the galaxy.
Right, right. And where some characters find themselves in their careers, in their life histories, because what is always something that I have to remind myself is that we have learned about the Star Wars story in the distant future from where these characters are,
Mhm.
like a full generation after. And it's kind of interesting to see to know that some of these characters may not may have their stories being told in other parts of the galaxy, and that's why their stories are lost to time, or at least unknown to some of the people uh that are at the forefront of the sequel trilogy.
Mhm.
So it's just interesting to see it from that perspective.
Sure.
I'm just like, oh, these people, like, this is, we may learn why we don't know too much about them, or why these characters don't know too much about them. But
Right.
also, I wanted to say, and I think this is prevalent on most people's minds, especially the people who understand that Star Wars, the Star Wars corner of the Disney empire, is building towards a movie, an Avengers-like movie that's going to draw in and draw together the current crop of live action Star Wars into a movie. And this is just another stage of that setup. And I have to remind myself of that. Like, we're not getting like any sort of finalized story here.
Right, and also possibly a lead in to what, as you alluded to, what we know is going to come at a later date with the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's definitely shades of that that's kind of been thrown in there here and there with the current batch of shows that's been going on, and wherever, whatever probably comes out of where we see some of these characters next, and
Right.
that movie specifically.
Right. So
it's kind of hard to talk about it without actually just blatant saying, "Hey, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened."
And I think it's obviously only been out for a few days, so we're not going to spoil it. But I think it's fair and right to say that even if you don't know what happens to Ray Stevenson's character in this episode, it is, it was always a tragedy that he passed away too soon. But it is awful. It actually, I feel hurt by that. Seeing, thinking about what could still be the case. And listen, they could always recast.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the same as, I hate to say this, it's not the same as Chadwick and Black Panther.
Right. They technically did a roundabout with that, but
Right. But you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally.
It's not the
So,
same.
and who's to say they could be like, well, this character is still over here, and pretty much everybody else is going to be in a different place, So, But I do like on that point, how where we last see that character, because I don't know if it was an intentional tribute to his passing, but I felt like as scenes go, that felt pretty fitting for him and that character.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and obviously it's a callback to a particular uh, Clone Wars episode, group of episodes
mhm.
that I don't look back fondly on those episodes, to be honest.
Well, you know, you take the cake as it is. Some of
Yeah,
some of it's done, some of it's not.
I know, I know, I know.
So,
We
that
need.
being,
I was gonna say, I know you don't like him, but justice for Zeb.
you know, sure. I mean, we talked about that
And we
last week.
only got one good shot of Hera in this episode.
See,
One. There was one.
So silly.
There was one. Damn it.
That was actually, you know what? I without giving too much of it away, that was a pretty touching scene.
Yeah, yeah. It could have been more emotional, but we got one good shot of Hera. Damn it.
But it did. Well, I think we know what kind of shot you were looking for of her. But
That's right. That's right.
Which it always bugs me out. It's always tripped me out that I keep forgetting that she and Ewan McGregor are married. Like, wait, I keep forgetting that. That's weird. That is so fucking wild. But anyhow, but yeah,
Good for both of them.
I mean, yeah. Well, there was an article I also saw that actually reminded me of, speaking of going back to the whole Grogu thing, because it was like, yeah, apparently their child is like crazy about Grogu, and I'm like, well, who isn't?
Right. Right.
So,
You know what? What's funny about that is that we were talking in our pre-production meeting. I make it sound like we're such professionals. Our pre-production meeting is literally like us chit-chatting before we start the show. Right. But in our pre-production meeting, we were discussing whether or not Ahsoka would receive a second season or not.
Right.
Roddykat is of the mind that they might. And
It's
I'm not disagreeing here, but I have the sneaking suspicion that they won't go with a season 2, but rather work the characters where they are at the end of the first season of Ahsoka into another series, the way they reunited Din Djarin and Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett series. So that's my guess.
Right.
I could be wrong. Roddykat could be wrong. Either one of us could be right. But my suspicion is that they're not going to go all in on a second season, but rather explore where each of the there are a group of characters that are set up in Ahsoka and find themselves in certain places at the end of the season. We will probably revisit them in like a side story, or I don't want to say background, but like in another aspect, like a tangent to another series. I don't know if it's going to be the Jude Law series or if it's going to be something else.
Right. So here's my thought process is that, and it goes on two fronts and kind of partially off of what you're saying, because they could, you're right, they may not do it, but at the same time, one, Ahsoka's a popular enough character where they would at least think about pitching it, because as we found out, we did not know at the time, the Mandalorian ended up being as popular as it was for whatever odd reason, and getting 3 seasons, not just one, because we figured, hey, that could have been one and done, and he shows up someplace else, But turns out, no, he got 2 more seasons, and they even backdoored Boba Fett out of that, and and back and forth actually, because Boba Fett kind of backdoored season 3 of Mandalorian. Hell, Ahsoka came back in through the Mandalorian.
Right.
So therein kind of starts my reasoning to where they could do it. But what you're saying about, they don't necessarily, they might not do that and just kind of have, as they have done once again with the Book of Boba Fett, or actually with probably Boba Fett and Mandalorian. It's like, hey, we get the title character here in the opening, and then cut to something completely different for the whole rest of the episode, which could be Ahsoka and what's going on with
I was
her.
about to say, and who knows? We may eventually see Cobb Vanth and his unnaturally nice hair again.
Could, you know what? All things are possible. I suspect, like I said, I suspect the Filoni verse is going to have many cameos before it's all said and done. So it could go either way. You know, that is my bottom line with it. But I feel fairly certain. No, I don't. I feel like a season 2 is possible.
Gotcha. More probable than not, maybe.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So, because like you said with the Jude Law series, we don't know what's going on with that and what else is going on that Filoni might be setting up. So maybe some stuff out of whatever that next season Bad Batch is probably going to shoe into that, even though that's kind of before this. But yeah, it could be. Who's to say? The Filoni verse is bountiful at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. More hair.
That. See, and that's the other thing, because there's definitely going to bring that side, that stuff back up, because leaving it like it is like, you know, clearly they're going to show up someplace else.
Yeah. More Hera.
So
Hera.
With that, we're going to push on to talking about season 2. Episode 1 of Loki, which was called...
was dropped literally hours ago.
Yep. And the name of the first episode is called Ouroboros, but you might call him OB.
Wait, so pardon my interruption here.
No, go.
Did this drop Thursday AM or Thursday PM?
Thursday PM. It was 9
o'clock. It was 9, because I didn't watch it until this morning.
Yeah, neither did I.
Well, this afternoon, actually.
But as a matter of fact, I was on Twitter and said, "Hey, this season 2 streaming now," and I think we had talked about it anyway. So
right, because we had talked about, because my schedule this week dictated that I could not make a Thursday night recording, but we also talked about when we would catch up with Loki. So because my schedule pushed us into recording today, it gave us a chance to watch this episode, and I think it was good that we did, because we have quite a lot to talk about.
Right. Yeah. It was
non-spoilery. Right. That's non-spoilery.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a few things that we do know. One of them is that obviously we're picking up essentially right where we left off at the end of season 1. So if you rewatch season 1, I think you will be ready to watch this episode, because you're jumping right back into the fray, quite literally jumping right back into the fray with this episode.
And to cut you off just for 1 second and let you get back to your point, the trailer for season 2, if you watch that, and you've watched season 1, you kind of get the gist of something. Like, there are some things you're not going to get, but you can kind of get the gist of what they're going for with the season 2.
Right. I found myself shying away from trailers.
Sure.
Just because I don't know why I've become like this, but I'm becoming more accustomed is the wrong word. I think more. I lean more towards going into something fresher after only one trailer. We've talked about this on the movie side, and I think with Loki, I probably saw like one commercial. I was like, all right, that's enough. That's good for me.
See, that's the thing though, because it risks the point of everything getting spoiled when you start watching trailer after trailer after trailer.
Right,
so if that is your reason for doing it, I totally get it.
Right. So that may be why. I just need a little bit of incentive, a little bit of primer, a little bit of lead information. Otherwise, I'm ready to go in and just and take it all in, right? Yeah, totally. But getting back to what I was saying, if all you do is rewatch season 1 or catch the end of season 1 and then jump right into the first episode of season 2, you're fine, because as I said, you're literally dropping right into the next steps of the story. And without spoiling everything, we already know that the character that the actor Ke Huy Quan appears in this series, and there is one line that like stuck out to me, and I'm having and let's just say I'm having trouble reconciling things. I was just like, oh, okay. Yes. And his his adult comedic timing plays so well in this story. Like the way the actor, the character that he's given to play, the overall mood of the TVA, which is where he is. Like obviously Owen Wilson is there, Hiddleston is there. They get to play, they get to bounce off each other, with their with both their dramatic and comic timing. So they're all kind of bouncing off each other. It's very, very fun. I would say that the tie-in, we talked about this in our news, and it happened here in Brooklyn. A local Mickey D's, a local McDonald's was transformed into an 80s McDonald's as a series tie-in, and you see the results of that not in the episode proper, but in the mid-credit scene.
Right.
It's obviously a tease for something to come in the future, but as I said, we've already understood that at some point an 80s version of McDonald's would come, would play some sort of role. And in this kind of time tripping, time slipping, I feel like I could hear DMX saying, stop slipping, every time they said time slipping,
Or if you're a little older, you can you'll be like time keeps on slipping into the future.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
I was about to say who sampled that.
A lot of people. Actually,
a lot of people sampled.
EPMD is the one that comes to mind, but
right.
But yeah, there's a few people that sampled that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's that. To me, that was Loki season 2, episode 1 in a nutshell. Is that we got a lot, like we basically picked the story up where we left off, and there are a couple of, I'm not the biggest fan of time travel, to be honest, and
sound like
I struggle with that. Who do I sound like?
I feel like Tim has said that a similar thing, or maybe it's opposite. I can't remember, but
no. Tim says he struggles with magic.
Yes, that is true. That part is true. Yeah. Well, he's gonna love gods then. But anyway, but yeah, that's a little. Well, that's not even teaser for later on. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, yeah, we got we have Loki season 2 in full steam. So the only one thing I'm going to say, and then we can push on, is that, and this is probably going to sound slightly bad, but Ki-Hugh Kwan's portrayal, which is in one part adorable, he's a grown-ass man, but also still feels like shades of Short Round, just a little bit. And maybe that's just me thinking, I was like, no, this is a time and place, this is where I know him from, and it's not necessarily that.
As opposed to the Goonies character?
Yes, as opposed to the Goonies character. Because Data was like, well, wasn't that far, but yeah, pretty much more so, more so Temple of Doom. So
it's your fault, not mine.
Yeah. So, but like I said, and that's just probably for people who who know that character for those two things mentioned and see him in that whole thing. Like he has grown and has done.
See him right. I see him now. Like the way what he was doing was very, very Everything Everywhere All at Once. Right.
Which I still have yet to see that.
Very much. Oh no, you got to watch that.
I know, I got to. And he's in American Born Chinese also.
Yeah, make time to watch. I tried watching American Born Chinese. It's such a teen, like I'm just too old for that shit, But it's just one of those things. I just, oh God.
Boy, I'm too old for this shit.
I'm just saying, Michelle Yeoh.
I know. I'll try to go back and revisit it. I watched a chunk of it and I was just kind of like, oh, with the teen BS,
You can tell it's a YA book or based off of a YA graphic novel. So
yeah.
Even though supposedly it's different from the graphic
novel.
It's
different.
Still.
It's different. It definitely veers away from it. So
be that as it may, Loki season 2 is out there. Next week we'll see. We'll talk about next week's plans next week, but we'll definitely.
We'll talk about it at the end of the show because New York Comic Con is next week.
Oh, we got news on that. Trust and believe.
We'll talk.
And with that, we're going to go into the books of the week, starting off with, and I got this queued up, thankfully, Fantastic Four number 12.
Fantastic Four number 12 is written this month by Ryan North, with art by Ivan Coelho, colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by VC's Ariana Mar. We had an interesting next issue page last month in FF.
Mm-hmm.
And it was essentially the cover of this issue. And the cover of this issue actually does happen in this issue.
Yep.
Dinosaurs don't just roam the earth, rule the earth. But it's not what you think. In this issue, we find it's a little bit of incursion style storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When I was reading, I was like, oh, this is incursion stuff.
I'm glad you picked up on that because I had that in my notes also.
Of course, it's very much incursion stuff. And, very much even Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, without spoiling too much, obviously you may want to look at the cover of this issue and you get an idea that this is kind of interesting. There's some family stuff that's explored in this, but I think my favorite part of this issue was the cliffhanger page at the end. Because just when you think, here I am kind of semi-quoting Madison from from She-Hulk.
Well,
just when you think the story is about to end, you know who has to jump in. You know who has to jump in dramatically. It's not an FF story, even in an alternate universe, in the multiverse, without this character sometimes. And this character makes a grand entrance on the last page of this book. I couldn't help. I'm sorry?
No, I was about to say a very befitting this character's entrance.
Yes, I could not help but kind of laugh with glee when I saw this. And I know I talked about this with Roddykat in our pre-production meeting.
I can attest to that. He certainly did. So he pretty much burned this out. But it's not just dinosaurs, folks. We get the assemblage of a whole ass dinosaur Avengers.
Right.
In this world, folks, which I'm sure if you've been following the news, you've seen or saw the cover. Which if you are watching the video version of this here podcast, you can see the cover right there, in all its glory. So it was definitely a pretty fun read. Which as I noted, it was like, this is the second time they ended up in a situation where they were the aliens,
right?
And there was a language barrier at first, but they didn't do the same thing they did in that last time. So right now it's been probably hitting on some very fun stuff in this book. So I must say I've been enjoying it so much, and I assume they're still going to get almost not necessarily making me forget, because they even touched on it in this particular issue, but an overarching thing that the FF's kind of trying to get back to. That came up a couple of times during the course of this issue. It was a pretty fun read this week, and there was a particular as Agent 70 and I talked about before the show. There was, and I think we probably talked about it on the show properly before, but there was the issue of Sue's doctorate that came up in this issue, and right. as 70 has kind of mentioned, I think that's something that's pretty much already been there before, but with everything that is going on in the history of the book, or history of the characters, you kind of don't remember whether that's the case. But regardless, it has been a thing that's been coming up in this volume, and we've kind of been wondering, what in the world is she a doctorate in, and when did she get it? And that has been answered, partially comically, which I enjoyed that part of, which is the part I was getting to. It's it was pretty comically answered. I was like, oh my.
Yeah, they made a joke out of it. Yeah. They made a joke out of it. So,
but yeah,
Oh
we finally
no,
figured out what's that.
my recording didn't start.
Uh-oh. Oh, look, I got mine, so we're good. I mean, you can
Well,
go
I'll
ahead and
start
start it up.
now.
Yeah, we'll be good.
All right.
But what was I gonna say? But yeah, from that, it goes into the rest of the story, in all its glory. So yeah, if you get a chance to check that out, you should do so. You don't necessarily need to know what's going on previous to this to get a sense of of the story, because it's kind of like a one or two done, and done. That's like the last arc or the last story, which is like hey, it's a 2-issue thing, and we're getting back to the thing. But the thing I was going to also mention, there was like a real world reference in this book in relation to Sue's doctorate and the person she kind of idolizes from it.
Right.
So I was like, oh wait, is this an actual
I
person?
figured, I
It
didn't.
surely
I was about
is.
to say I did not do the research. I figured that was a real person.
Yeah, and I did. So I was like, oh, interesting. I did not know that. But good on good on the FF crew for so throwing some knowledge in there. Because a fictional character was also referenced, so which means that which wouldn't be surprised, because hey, Disney and Disney Lucasfilm synergy with Marvel at this point,
Yes.
is the
Yes.
thing.
It's not the first time that character has appeared in the pages of a Marvel comic. Let's say.
Totally, yeah. Even originally having a book,
Exactly.
with Marvel,
Exactly.
which I'm kind of funny. I'm surprised, which they haven't brought that back out, or they haven't done anything with that. But then we got Doctor Afro, which is not the same thing, but still.
Right.
So anyway, FF12, good read there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next issue. And also, apparently, something that's probably going to come up again got kind of teased that I can't remember if we knew about or not, which I think we did, but I don't remember, because like I said, it's been 12 issues and probably plus when this might have popped up. Actually, less than 12 issues, so when everything went down, when we found out it was like 6 issues. So because we found out that one of the characters may or may not have a secret that the audience may know about, but I can't remember or not.
It's a secret.
Exactly, but I feel like the audience may know about it. It's just so much has happened since then. Who knows? But
Yep.
we're gonna find out about it at some point when that stuff rolls back around again. And with that, we go into the next book we're going to talk about, which is going to be an X Corner with Immortal X-Men number 16.
Immortal X-Men number 16 is written by Kieron Gillen with art by Lucas Vernick, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. Immortal X-Men number 16 takes us to helps us catch up with the characters who are looking to exploit the fall of Krakoa, namely Sebastian Shaw and Selene. We see them confront in this book Professor Xavier, and Professor Xavier is like, "Be gone with thee," but he has to figure out what he needs to barter with these folks in order to get them to go away.
And he found that out fairly quickly, which I thought that was an interesting but weird shift, because it was like, wait, this issue was going one way until that started happening. Well, at least this part of the issue, I say, because there's a couple of things that's going on in here, but
Right.
and then it was like,
I was about to say, we'll get to the other part
right,
in a second. Yeah.
But with this part, it was like, oh, this is going on, but wait, skirt. We're just gonna redirect you over here real quick.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait a second, Sebastian Shaw is doing his best War Machine impression.
Right. So I was like, which is, hey, not bad armor. I'm pretty sure there's, I don't know if we're going to get a figure of that anytime soon.
Yeah,
but,
imagine.
Huh?
I said, imagine.
Yeah. I assume probably, I don't know, given how this book this issue is taken, and the thing about the armor has already been out there in an article or 5 already, so I'm pretty sure maybe that might stoke up some buzz for a figure. And it's kind of sad that you have to think about this in terms of figures, but hey, it's a thing that comes up every now and then, as we have said before.
Yep.
But on the other side of that, which is still kind of slightly boggling my mind, just a slight bit. If you're watching the video version of the character of the show, you see a certain character who has been gone for a while but has recently come back, who is playing a part of this book as themselves, but something. Like he's going back to his old ways in a way.
Yeah,
I guess you can say that. But also we kind of get a little bit more with the other displaced mutants and what they're dealing with.
Right. We get a little bit of a revelation
Yes.
in more. I was about to say that you can read into that particular word several ways when it comes to reading this book and this issue in particular.
Because it damn sure comes up. They kind of hit you with it a few different times toward the end of the book. It's like, oh yeah, we get it. We get it. So, yeah, well, now that we got that little slight piece of the mystery pinned out, like as I was talking to Agent 70 before the show, may or may not want to read the Jean Grey miniseries that may, kind of play a part or may reference a part of what's going on in this issue of it.
Right. I think it's going to be, it's going to play into it. It may not. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, is that it references it, because the main story of what's happening to Jean is probably in that miniseries. But I guess the looking at it from the outside is where we, is what we find out here.
Right.
That's what we see reflected in the story in these pages, is that Jean Grey miniseries, but from an outside perspective. That's a pretty heavy spoiler, to be honest.
Yeah. Especially, if you've been keeping up with,
if you haven't read it, right? Exactly.
Right.
If you haven't read the Jean Grey series yet,
right. So it's all connected, as they say. It maybe small, but it's somehow still significant.
Right.
And I was thinking about Agent 70, and before we move on, I was thinking about Agent 70 with this, because there was a little part with Destiny, which I know is a character.
You had to. I was just thinking that. I was flipping through the book, and I was like, I hate Destiny.
So
I hate Destiny then. I hated Destiny then. I hate Destiny now. I hate Destiny.
Right.
She's a terrible character.
There was also an Eminem moment. If you read a certain, if you read a certain line that a character says, that actually the character on the cover says in a certain way, you can think of some Eminem there.
I was like, now I'm scrolling. I was about to say, you can move on to.
But yeah, so there's things going
I see it now.
And it's sad that's the first thing I went to, but it's not the first time I've seen that or a similar reference in the pages of a comic book in recent history. So it's kind of funny when I see it, when it catches. But yeah, so the whole thing with Destiny and the displaced mutants, as she kind of gets shut down for a second, but I assume there's going to be another part played with her and what's going on in that section, given the reason they had to kind of focus on her in that one particular part of this issue. So, but we shall see, because like I said, there's a part of that that's just like, so wait, part of this doesn't make any sense, but I guess the revelations part is what is kind of seeding into that, which I guess if you think about it, now that I think about it, the big revelation that we kind of get is like, okay, that's feed into this other little smaller stuff that we're catching. So there is that. And with that, we're going to move on to the other X book that we both read this week, which I guess is the only other X book that we both read, now that I think about it. X-Men number 27.
X-Men number 27 is written by Jerry Duggan with art by Phil Noto, letters by VC's Clayton Cowles, and Phil Noto does the coloring on this. That's why there is no colorist.
Right.
I had to stop and think, oh yes, that's right, it is Phil Noto art.
Right. Which given some of the stuff that I know, that I've known of Noto's art, this is kind of slightly different from his earlier stuff. Like,
It's looser
yes,
because there are a lot of characters.
yes,
That's my take on it. I
yeah,
noticed it as I was reading. I was like, oh, it's Noto, but you can see Noto shine when he's doing talkie scenes.
right.
I hate to say that.
And there's a slightly
know.
different style
Right.
than what you would know if especially if you've seen some of his covers. I can pick up on that now, so this is beautiful. It's a good thing. But
Hey, I was about to say, look at the evolution of Roddykat as a comic book fan and commentator and critic. You know, he's looking at the art from a different perspective now after all these years.
And this won't be the first book this week that I will have an art perspective on, actually.
There you go.
So look out for that. But yeah, so we catch up with if you're watching the video version, you're seeing, well, partially who this issue is about, and that one Scott Summers' Cyclops, or at least we get the whereabouts of he and another character thanks to Shadowcat,
Right.
and her mission. But we also get into something, well, a situation that has been kind of touched on and teased with very rarely, that's been out there for a minute at this point. And Agent 70 kind of had, and I were talking before the show about when did that whole thing happened that involved the Fantastic Four, and more specifically a member of the Fantastic Four. And, you know, tried to do our best to kind of put that whole timeline together, but there's a lot of things happening in this part of the corner. You know?
Yeah.
So, but I think we pinned down to some more of a place. The other thing that I'm kind of curious about is where the hell does Rasputin 4 character came into play? Because I know the character's been there for a minute and where they came from, but I was like, when did this character actually
Sins
come
of Sinister.
in? Was it?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe I need to go back and read some of that then, because I was like, I don't remember that clearly when that happened, or which book that happened in, because there was a lot going on there also.
Yeah.
So, but that being the case, that's a little side work for myself. But apparently, her and Kamala have become besties almost to a point, which leads to, not necessarily leads to comedy, but there is some comedy. There's some amusement that happens with the interaction between Rasputin and the FF.
Right, who guest star in this issue?
Exactly.
So.
If we have not said that before. And at the end we get Sinister being Sinister, which I'm kind of curious about that last page, because it was like, I'm wondering if well, Sinister and another character is kind of talking, and I kind of wonder if he knows about the status of this other character.
All right. You know what? I was kind of curious about one thing, because the FF guest starring in this, and I'm like, wait, did they know that Kamala came back, or was never all that gone? They didn't react.
Right.
Seeing her in an X-Men uniform, so I'm assuming that her running around with the X-Men is more public knowledge now.
Either that, or maybe at some point, I feel like in the book that she came back in, she ended up going to the FF for some reason. But that's probably totally not what happened. And
I can't remember that. You know, right. I just thought of it now. Like, I didn't bump on it when I was reading it. But
I thought of it then. Yeah, so I'm with you on that, because it was like, well, yeah, because they didn't. But also, you got to think about the FFs. Like, they've seen a lot of shit. So, yeah. So at the same point, it's like, you know what? Sure. We've seen people come back a half a dozen times already, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised about that. But because that Miss Marvel is in this is in this issue, kind of leads to another throwback, callback to another event involving mutants. I'll just stop right there and say that apparently ends up being a thing that's going to help them in the long run.
Right.
So, which who'd have thought that was going to be the case?
Very weird.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, that's a pretty good refer back for something that could go any number of half a dozen ways, or nowhere at all. Who's to say?
Right.
But yeah, so the whole FF and X-Men thing has got a little history, and as also Kate didn't want to be reminded of in the beginning of this, and then because this whole issue kind of bring me, oh right that, oh right that. I had that like a couple of different times in the reading of this issue, with this, so pretty good. And carrying the story forward, and I guess we'll see what ends up happening with what is gained out of this issue. And with that, unless I just said themselves, Agent 70's got something else. We can push over into the rapid fires.
No, we're starting rapid fire reviews.
All right.
Ain't got time to read. Alrighty, so Roddykat and I have several books in common this week, so we will both be chiming in on some of these. But the first one that I do not have in common, and the only one, is Batman number 138. It's written by Chip Zdarsky, with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tomo Mori, and letters by Clayton Cowles. Not hanging out with VC, obviously, because he's doing some freelance work here. I was just curious about what was happening in the pages of Batman, because it's been a while for me. And I noticed that Zdarsky is mining a particular story or character aspect of Batman that I am unfamiliar with. And I'm just kind of like, oh, I guess I'll just wait until this particular arc is over, but I'm sure it's going to play a role in future stories. So, we'll see. We'll wait. I'll just, kind of keep tabs on it, but I may not be following it that closely. Next up is Black Panther number 5. It's written by Eve L. Ewing with art by Mac Chater, colors by Andrew Dullhouse, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So both Roddykat and I read this. I freely admit I missed Black Panther number 4, which is the issue in which Deathlock and Black Panther had it out. Roddykat says, I did miss it, and I didn't really miss anything at the same time.
Pretty much. It was a good fight and whatnot, and so a couple of little bits of info, but not much that would, that you would need to kind of focus on.
Right. So essentially, this issue refocuses on Black Panther's kind of street level work on the streets of Birnin and T'Chaka, and ultimately, he is, dealing with factions who are not just, warlords or street thugs, but they're also tapped into some of the more mystical elements of Wakanda's history.
Yep, pretty much. How much else to say?
So, yeah, exactly. It's this is really just another step in Eve L. Ewing's story, but it kind of recenters the story on the happenings in Birnin T'Chaka. Next up is Doctor Strange number 8. It's written by Jed MacKay with art by Pasquale Ferry, colors by Heather Moore, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. I will say that this issue had a very nice art. Had a very nice look. I like the look of this issue. Pasquale Ferry does an excellent job on this, and Heather Moore's colors really do pop on the page in this book. I missed Doctor Strange number 7. It might have been one of those busy weeks. Might have been a week when we just didn't get it in time. I never circled back to it, but ultimately, I don't think I needed it. I think that Doctor Strange number 8 did enough to get me caught up on what probably happened in Doctor Strange number 7. And I really liked some of McKay's characterizations for some of these, long-standing characters, as well as, some newer developments for certain characters. I really did enjoy reading this. I definitely think, this would be a strong contender for Click of the Week for me if I didn't have kind of a clear number 1 choice. And that's it for me.
And I'm just going to add to the Doctor Strange thing by saying this was the book I was alluded to with that has the similar title to Ahsoka's finale, because they pretty much did the same treatment, a similar treatment to that. which is
I
kind of
probably
funny.
glossed over it.
Yeah, I just happened to. I was like, because I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just happened to catch it for some reason because a lot of times I end up glossing over the title also of the issue. So, but with that, we get over into my books, which, folks, oh my goodness, this has been, let's just say, highly anticipated for myself, which is Transformers #1 from Skybound Entertainment. Folks, it has happened. It is now upon us. Oh, thank you for that. So I'm going to say, for those who remember the '84 cartoon fondly, I'm going to say this is going to not be that in certain ways. They have pretty much kind of I don't want to say MC. See, I haven't seen enough of those Transformers movies to say this with any authority, so I can't say that they MCU-fied it or whatever the Transformers movie equivalent, the Hasbro-verse equivalent of that is. But in a way, there kind of is, because while there are things that don't play out the same way that the cartoon did, it's still interesting enough. Although there's going to be some people that's going to be very upset, possibly very upset about a couple of things, or at least one particular thing, but a couple of things that happened during the course of this issue. And if you have been keeping up with Void Rivals, which I'll probably save that for when we get to that later on in the thing, but the last Void Rival was kind of amusing in that it just did a quick jump to, hey, remember, Transformers is in this universe. Hint, hint, hint. So, that being said, actually, I should probably give I was so excited about this book that I forgot to give the creative team credits. So it's written and art was done by Daniel Warren Johnson, with colors by Mike Spicer, and letters by Russ Wooten. This is a potential Kliq of the week for me, if that wasn't already apparent. And I'm just going to say that with everything else I've said, this is also going away, which was inevitable, to basically bring in the Joes at least reference the fact that possibly G.I. Joe is, we know G.I. Joe is in the same universe because this is all connected universe. But I think the first page pretty much did a service into, giving us a reference to that fact. But also, let's just say, again, going back to the '84 origin, may have retconned a couple of characters, including the human side. Let's just say, and without giving much of it away, but I thought I was going to be slightly upset about what happened, and in a way I was like, wow, I can't believe they did that, but they did that. But it was all still entertaining enough for me to be like, all right, I'm looking forward to the next issue and what else they plan on doing, because we know the G.I. Joe stuff is actually also going to start coming out within the next month or so, proper. And that is outside of Real American Hero, which is his own thing, by the way. So, yeah. Good stuff. There's, if you're a Reference fan, you might enjoy one panel. And also a reference to Transformers the movie in a very appropriate way, I would say. Except for with the character receiving the end of it not being the character that it happened to in that particular movie. So, yeah. Also, it was kind of interesting who ends up coming out of it first, and where Jetfire fits back into it, because which was the tie from Void Rivals, and
I see.
Right. So, if you read,
I just got a kick out of flipping through this, and there's a reframed scene.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it was. I was like, all right. Clearly, the reverence is there for this. I'm like, all right. Like I said, what they did. What if you keep reading or Well, actually, what I'm thinking about happened before that. But anyway, if you actually read that book and see some of the things that happen, it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely a departure from that. But may not be a departure from probably one of the later animated series. I'm not sure because I'm not up on those ones. So, regardless, that was supposed to be me doing a rapid fire thing, but I couldn't help it because, like I said, the books are pretty good. Next up is
Oh wow! I can see. You know what? I'm flipping through Daniel Warren Johnson's art, and there
mhm,
are a few homages to
mhm,
80s comic scenes,
mhm,
panels,
mhm,
particular panels
mhm.
that are done in this. And I'm like, wow, I think some of them are actual old like 80s Marvel Transformers books, like
Right on.
scenes from some of them.
Mhm.
One of them is actually an homage to a famous GI Joe issue,
Yes.
a very famous GI Joe issue of uh Ace and I think Lady J in a Sky Striker, and Wild Weasel and the Baroness flying in a Rattler. And it's an entire issue of air-to-air combat between a Sky Striker and a Rattler. It is a well-known GI Joe issue, and there is a couple of iconic um, uh, air-to-air battles that are drawn in that issue. I really need to look that issue up again. I
You're
think
gonna
I
make
own a
me
very
do that same thing.
copy of. What's that?
I said you're gonna make me do that same thing now.
Right. There's a very and there's a panel here that is reminiscent of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a direct homage, but it might be.
Eh,
So I apologize for hijacking
no, no, no.
your this, but I'm flipping through this now and I'm like, oh, you know what? I definitely respect Daniel Warren Johnson's direction on this because I see what he's influenced by, but obviously he's telling a different story.
Yes, already out of the gate.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to have some similar tones. It definitely has some similar tones, but they're just like, well, clearly it's going to be it's not going to get that way anytime soon.
Mhm.
So yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, this issue was great. You should check it out if you're a Transformers fan. Although, like I said, you might be put off if you're a fan of one particular one, which I'm personally slightly of. I admit I was like, oh no, that's bad. But also, you know what? Given that character's popularity, sure, I'm all right with this. I'm pretty much okay with this. So anyway, yeah, Transformers #1 is great. Potential click of the week, like I said, it may probably already end up going to be my click of the week. That's not apparent, but we're gonna move on to Star Trek Defiant #8, which is written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Mike Feehan, colors by Marissa Louise, and letters by Clayton Cowles. Another potential click of the week. This is coming out after the events of that the Day of Blood crossover event between this book and the Star Trek ongoing that just ended last week with the Star Trek ongoing. And of course, folks have to face the music for what happened to that, which means, Worf and crew end up going back to Earth because they stole the Defiant and reactivated lore, which, kind of doesn't sit right with the Federation. But they ended up getting, let's just say their things are not all doom and gloom, although it doesn't look bad at first. The crew gets disavowed and they have a new mission. And that mission has some interesting Star Trek callbacks. Specifically, the couple that I can think of right back, 2 from TNG and 1 from TOS. So that's going to be interesting going forward. And also basically tied up a loose end or two of a thing that happened with Worf during, or at least leading up to the Day of Blood. So, now this book can kind of cleanly do whatever it's going to do. So, still a great read. Next book for myself is Catfight number 4 of 5, which is written by Andrew Wheeler with art by Elias Kyriazis, inks by August Kanakis or Kanakis. And colors by Dennis Yatras and letters by Hassan Atsmane Alao. So, if you are not familiar with this book, this is basically the story of a cat burglar named Felix, who got framed for the murder of his grandmother, who was a famous cat burglar, and some folks want to do something for him. Well, we finally found out who that person is, and of course, in true fashion, it's always the one that is close to you for some odd reason. There's a few other things that happen in this, but if you're not familiar with it, it's not going to matter with you. But this has been a kind of a fun read. They call it like a John Wick / whatever else they did, and a little bit of it there, but it's kind of a fugitive thing vibe going on with it. Maybe some Hudson Hawk if you want to go that route. But
Hudson Hawk.
Yeah, no, not too many people even know what the hell that is. But hey, if you're of a certain vintage to know that reference, good on you, I guess. I don't know. The movie wasn't great, but it was, early Bruce Willis vehicle. So I want to say after Moonlighting, which is I think now on Hulu or something. But hey, regardless.
Wait, wasn't Hudson Hawk after Die Hard?
No, I think it was both. It might have been if it was after the first one, possibly, but I want to say that might have been
after the first one.
But I want to say it might have been before the first one. I might be totally wrong about that. I don't know. I had to look it up, which I'm not going to do at this moment. But if you want to do that, go for it. Next up for me is Darkwing Duck. Darkwing Duck. As I find the cover here, number 9. Script by Amanda Daybert, art and color by Carlo Laro, and letters by Jeff Eckleberry. So we still got Darkwing and crew, that crew being some of the Justice Ducks, if you are familiar with that folks for the animated series, are looking for Launchpad McQuack's compass, and Launchpad himself, actually, at this point. And, are being... were being called back to city to because crime is still running rampant there, but also they get back to the hunt. And Darkwing, mostly known for being a solo person, at least in his mind, but he has also had help from his friends, or at least associates that he is unlikely to call friends, but they have been to him, are helping out with this, and I'm pretty sure it's going to culminate in another. Justice Ducks coming together. But one of those particular persons has a little beef with them because they're similarly tempered, let's just say. So that's been a source of amusement in the last few issues. Still fun stuff. You should check out if you're a fan of the character Darkwing Duck. Next up, we go to the DC side with Birds of Prey number 2, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Leonardo Romero, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by Clayton Cowles. Now, this is the book I referenced back to earlier with that I was going to talk about the art, because the art in this has a kind of I'm going to say classic feel to it, probably late 70s, 80s kind of vibe to it, especially with the coloring. With being how it is, but it's not just that is the draw here, but it is some good stuff. Basically, last issue, Black Canary put together a team of hitters because she wants to help or save her adopted sister, which I did not know she had, but there's a lot of these characters that I don't know about it. But the catch is that apparently this sister is on Themyscira, which of course you may or may not know is the home of the Amazons. So this is the reason why Canary put this team together, and there was a little bit of friction once she explained the plan in this issue, but apparently things are going on. And thanks to one Harley Quinn, who is a part of this group, they may have an unlikely inroads into breaking into the place to do what they need to do. So, And all this being wrapped up in the fact that Canary is either getting help or was guided into doing this by one future Maps Mizuguchi, who some people might know that character. I'm not that familiar with that character, but I know slightly where the character is from. So.
Gotham Academy.
Exactly. So, but it's a future version of Maps, which is kind of giving me some which is making me question a couple of things, because sometimes people coming from the future are not always what they seem to be. But we don't know if that is the case in this case. But it's been a fun read. As a matter of fact, I read this in the first issue back to back, and it's been fun so far. So I've been enjoying it. Let's see what is next up for me. Is Strange Academy Amazing Spider-Man number 1, which is a part 3 of the story they've been telling, which has to do with math magic, folks. Here's the thing. I haven't been putting up much variance, but that's okay. We're trying to move this along a little bit. This is written by, the whole thing was written by Carlos Hernandez, with art by Vasco Georgiev, excuse me. Color artist Edgar Delgado, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So yeah, pretty much the situation has been mathematically sewn up, I was about to say, but that's not, it is what it is. The kids, along with both Spider-Man's Peter Parker and Miles Morales, pretty much helped defeat their adversary, whose, I guess, name was... or their villain name was Equation, because they were basically trying to wipe out all magic, and to do that, they were using a type of magic that that's based on math. So there was a whole lot of math magic going on in these 3 issues. So, and apparently, which I don't know if happened before now, but I guess not, given how excited they were, the kids find out about that Doctor Strange is alive in this issue. So, because it had me thinking, I was like, wait, did this not come up someplace else? But then again, I also forgot Strange Academy book kind of
ended.
Yes. I hate saying ended, because I was like, it's not coming back, but it actually is, because they've been doing stuff like this, and I'm sure there's going to be another book at some point.
Right.
Coming up, and I think even though
it's a way to keep the concept alive, which I like. I like that. I saw this in today's, in this week's book list, and I was like, I really want to catch up with what's going on with the Strange Academy kids.
You should read them, because it's I want to say the first book was Strange Academy and Miles, the second was the Strange Academy and Moon Knight, and then there's this one.
Right.
That has come out in the last couple of weeks, and they read breezily enough, and they're kind of fun to read. So you'll probably enjoy it. And I think the letters page of this book kind of alluded to the fact that it was like, this is not all we're going to see of these kids. So whether it doesn't necessarily say in book form, or in another solo series themselves or whatnot, but definitely it's not the last we have heard of the Strange Academy kids. Which is great news for me, because I love those, because both Agent 70 and I love those characters. So, with that, I got one more book. Actually, one more book that I've read, and I'll kind of breeze through a couple of books that I kind of glossed over. Star Wars Darth Vader number 39 is the book that I'm trying to find out right now. And this is, there we go, written by Greg Pak, with art by Rafael Ienco, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is real quick, this is a Dark Droids tie-in. It's Vader versus a bunch of droids, one of which is an old Clone Wars holdout. If you're watching the video version of this program, you can pretty much already see it. Amongst with the other droids, of one of which that he is that has been his employed, that has been taken over. Despite the fact that he does not have, at this point, full command of the Force, and is forced to use implements to help him focus it. So, therein lies that. There's a couple other Dark Droids tie-ins, which I didn't get a chance to read this week, but it is what it is. That is it for my books, but I wanted to call attention to a book that I know Agent 70 and I were probably going to read at some point, because I had warned him he was going to try to read it before the show, and I was like, "Nah, you might not want to do that, there, partner."
Or at least not make the attempt. I think it's more. It's not
Yes.
that I may not want to do it, but
Correct.
don't make the attempt to try to skim it or read it quickly.
Correct.
And I'll let Roddykat continue.
Yes. So, and if you've been with the show and know what I'm about to say, you'll understand why. Because that is Gods, that's GODS #1, written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Valerio Schiti, color artist Monta Gracia, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. Folks, this is a Hickman book. There may or may not be a good load of Hickman mumbo jumbo, as our friend Tim would say.
Mumbo jumbo! Shout out to @TimDog98.
Absolutely, and granted, that's from me kind of skimming it myself before the show, but it was a lot. It's like 63 pages, so it's a sizable opener to, and you're going to, yeah, it's going to be some pouring through, but basically magic stuff. That's what I got in my notes. I love how it starts off with Doctor Strange basically saying he's getting too old for this shit.
Yes, I see that. All I can hear when I see that and hear that, I'm just,
Boy, I'm getting too old for this shit.
can't help it.
Yep. And then it goes into the story of the gods, or the GODS, which, like I said, I kind of skimmed through it, so there's a little bit that's lost into me. But we have seen these people pop up in various books in the last month or two to kind of intro them into going into this thing. So, and it's focusing on when I feel like they're kind of like the magic version of the Eternals almost. I don't know why I get that sense, but I kind of do. But again, I'm going to go back and reread this at some point, and well, not even at some point, probably after we finish this, so I can get the whole thing out of it. Because, like I said, it's a Hickman book. It's slightly dense. It's going to be a little dense. Still probably going to be a good read.
There are design elements in this too. It is very much Hoxpox.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's and I guess also harking back to his Avengers run leading up to
Yeah. No, that's true. No, as soon as you said that, I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Secret Wars. So yeah, it's all there. Like I said, that was what we've been fans of Hickman stuff since then because of that. So I figured, like, hey, he's coming back to do another book. It must be something significant to it. And it seemed that might be the case here. And with that, I think the only other book I was just going to briefly mention, if I can find the cover of it, The New Golden Age, which is a DC book. Here we go. There we go. The New Golden Age is, I don't know if it's a reprint of that. I don't think it is, because from what I've read of it, but it seems similar to something I've read recently. And all I'm going to say is it's written by Jeff Johns, and it's another story of the Justice Society of America's future being in danger, from what I gathered from it. And I forgot to get the rest of the credit, but I figure like that. Just enough right there is going to whet some people's appetite, because I know there are some people who love Jeff Johns' work. But if anything I said about that is appealing to you, have at it. And with that, Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
Nice, almost a Halloween dramatic tone you had there going on there. So let's see. Dirk pretty much said he liked the story in Transformers, but the art was meh. And as I told him, like, yeah, sometimes people feel like that. I didn't have that problem with it, but also I kind of can see what he's saying. But
yeah, because you know what it is, because it's a different take on drawing Transformers,
right? Weirdly,
because the latest.
Okay.
And I think even during the Marvel years, the vast majority was clean drafting. Very clean lines. This is very stylistic. This is very, organic, but still obviously, depicting very mechanical, flat surfaces.
Right. I feel like this is kind of taking a page from the movie / the later animated series, because they also use that style. Probably the later animated series more so, because they're the more kid friendly and more right, what have you. Right. But yeah, I see that being a case in that.
Right, especially if you're looking for a style, right? Because if you recall the Transformers books that what was it, Devil's Due or Image or both
Dreamwave?
or IDW?
Was it Dreamwave? Oh, did the IDW stuff? Okay.
Yeah, I mean the more recent stuff
Sure.
all look very clean because it's all like computer assisted drawing. Daniel Warren Johnson is not computer assisted drawing. Not
Right.
not at all.
Right. Weirdly enough, it kind of reminded me of the last, which it wasn't him. I feel confident about the last GoBots series. Although that series was a little bit more. The art was, I had issues with that art wise in that book because it was just like what you can hardly make. It was busy and hard to make out stuff all at the same time. This is not that because you can definitely tell what's what, and they definitely do. Daniel Warren Johnson definitely does it. Tries to evoke the spirit of the original cartoon slash Marvel comics and whatnot. But as Agent 70 said, definitely slightly styled a little bit more organically mechanical.
Right.
Not in the way that Beast Machines went into, by the way. So.
Right. All right. So is that your click?
That is Dirt's click, and yes, it is also going to be mine because yes,
So you were talking at length about it. I'm like, is that yours also?
Yeah, no, you would have been surprised if it was something different, huh?
You know.
But yeah, it was between that FF and probably Star Trek Defiant. But yeah, it was the clear winner was Transformers #1 for me.
Gotcha. And so mine is FF Fantastic Four #12. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's been a while since I laughed as gleefully as I did when I saw the last page of this book. I really did get a kick out of it. So I enjoyed this issue. It's still kind of like it's relatively light fare, but I see where North is going. Kind of like these stories to not fill in the time between the return, the disappearance and the return of the Baxter Building, but kind of filling in some of the things that I guess he's looking to develop in a less direct way.
Mm-hmm.
By putting in stand-ins for the missing characters as it were, like literally putting in stand-ins for them.
Right.
So it's an interesting way to develop this story. So Fantastic Four #12 for me.
Right. Yeah, I guess that was kind of a way to saying, you know what? Instead of us having to put the heavy lifting on when they do come back, we'll get them into a place to where it's like, all right, they're already in their mind, in a certain place. They just want them back at this point, and
Right.
So it kind of makes sense for them to do that. But yeah, I didn't expect it either. So as I'm going through the variant covers of that book, and yeah, we didn't get anything from Tim. But that is that.
That's
we're going
okay.
Busy man. We're going to go into the cinematic news, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. So place your first order with $30 off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us, that's cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
I was very much, after I read Transformers #1, I was looking for my copies of the Marvel stuff, and I came across my Dreamwave copies and the other stuff, and the other stuff. I'm like, am I really going to pour through some of this other stuff just because I got, just because I felt the pulls of the '84, the Marvel book.
The nostalgia, yeah.
Yes. Like, yeah, I might end up doing that because those, I don't think they're definitely not on Marvel at this point because, but I'm sure they're going to get recollected again from at Skybound. Anyway, cinematic news, folks. We start off with actually some Marvel hubbub. In that Marvel Studios execs eye meetings is wow, this is weird. Basically, hey folks, we know the X-Men are probably coming up in the cinematic universe, and this report said that Marvel Studios is pretty much taking pitches for the X-Men stuff. Matter of fact, I think I heard or I saw an article that Claremont was would pretty much put his bid in.
Really?
I believe, unless that was about him doing some more X-Men stuff after. No, I think part of that article was like, doing a run of X-Men after this Hoxpox stuff finishes up. But I think it also might have alluded to him to doing a pitch for that stuff because it came along around the same time and whatnot. So I'm not sure. I had to go back and find that article again. I'll send it to you when I find it.
Okay.
Because I knew that would interest you, and I forgot to put it in the lineup anyway. But so yeah, that's the thing, folks. There's nothing. Marvel's declining in comment, of course. But by next year, I'm pretty sure we'll find out. Oh dang. We'll find out what is going to become of the mutants in. I'm so sorry about this, folks. There we go. Pink. There we go. In the cinematic universe. Next up.
So apparently between November 9th and 12th in just about a month, more than 1,800 pieces of movie and TV memorabilia will be available at an auction held by Prop Store in London. And among these pieces will be some items from the collection of one Anthony Daniels. You know that name. That name is the name of the actor who played one C-3PO in the Star Wars galaxy. So one of those items is a Star Wars head that comes complete with light up eyes, and other things include C-3PO's hands and feet, hand annotated scripts, and an unopened cereal box used as a prop by C-3PO. Goodness. Yeah, just be prepared to spend beaucoup bucks for some of these pieces of memorabilia.
Especially that head. I'm imagining that's going to fetch a pretty penny.
Yep.
Oh shoot! I don't know if I got to put that in there, but that'll be.
Wow, you can get a coat worn by Marlon Brando when he was playing Don Vito Corleone. Wow.
Yep. And
the original claw-like glove worn by what's the actor's name? Freddy Krueger.
Oh, Robert Englund.
Robert Englund, right?
Englund, yeah.
Goodness gracious.
He'll tear your soul apart. Next up, though. Where did I put that thing? Anyway. Stephen Amell shared a revelation about how long Arrow was supposed to...
Did you skip the Joker 2 new look released?
I was trying to, actually.
Okay. I'll
not
do
on
it
purpose.
Then.
Not on purpose, but...
I'll do it then. We'll flip orders just so that, I'll spare you that one.
Hold on. Actually,
you go ahead.
Let me pull that back up because... There we go. Yeah. So yeah, Stephen Amell pretty much was out there saying how long the Arrow was supposed to last, as opposed to how long it did. Apparently, he was at some conference. Who cares at this point? He basically said that it was supposed to go 5 years, but he says it was supposed to have all the flashbacks and stuff that it did have, and it was supposed to catch you up. Blase. So yeah. Next up.
When the East is in the house, oh my God.
Danger.
Roddykat is the one that said blase. So anyway. Director Todd Phillips celebrates 1 year until the sequel to the first Joker movie is released and he released a new look at the movie. So He put this on Instagram, and you know what? I know there are people who are waiting for this movie to come out, which is currently scheduled for October 4th, 2024. I am not one of those people. I do not think Roddykat is one of those people either.
Nope, haven't seen it yet, and yeah, no.
Yeah, same here. No plans to either.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yep, pretty much. Moving on. Next up.
Watch the deleted Prey scene from director Dan Trachtenberg was bummed to cut. So this is coming on the heels of the physical release of Prey, which is the Predator prequel that was I would say beloved at this point because it was pretty good. But yeah, and it's now out on physical apparently, and there was a scene that he wanted to keep, but I guess they didn't. It wasn't going to happen for some odd reason, which I don't know if this article went into. It probably did, but I'm not going to. Also, it says here that Trachtenberg is tight-lipped about a potential for a Prey 2, which I know has been rumored out there. And he's not worried about giving away all his best ideas on the commentary for the Blu-ray. So there you go. Next up.
Wow. This is definitely one of those.
Boy, I'm too old for this shit.
Godzilla 2000 gets a theatrical release for Godzilla Day. Just in time for Godzilla Day 2023, the King of Monsters reigns again as Fathom Events and Toho International present a special screening of Godzilla 2000, which will be in theaters for one night only nationwide on November 1st, 2023 at 7 o'clock p.m. local time. I remember this movie. I remember seeing this movie when it was released in the United States in a theater that no longer exists because that's what happens to movie theaters.
Yeah, that is the thing.
That's 23 years ago. No surprise that movie theater does not exist anymore.
I'll be honest, I had this one confused with the American-made one, which...
Oh, I see. No. This is in the week of the American-made one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this was the one that came out. Sure, exactly. So I was like, why would they put that one in? Oh, wait, that's not that one. Thank goodness.
Yeah. I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed watching this one on the big screen. So, I don't think it's worth it for me to go back and watch this again on November 1st only. But you know what? It's still nice that it's out there.
But it's gonna be Godzilla Day month. Whatever.
I know. No, but like I said, I've seen this on the big screen. I remember enjoying it on the big screen. I actually, believe it or not, had to take a phone call in the middle of it. So I had to step out.
Well, see, there you go. Reason enough.
I did have, at this point in 2000, I did have a cell phone in the middle of grad school. So, Yep.
What was I going to say about this? Nothing. Well, yeah, as this article says, yeah, Godzilla -1 is going to come out a month later. So
right. I left that part out because that's another story altogether. But yeah, that's some Godzilla stuff coming very soon.
And we've been talking about it. So yeah, totally. Next up, we're going to go into the anime corner, and if Agent 70 will let me indulge myself for this particular transition. Thank you very much. Bleach 1000
Spy Family, right?
Yeah.
I recognize as soon as you played, I was like, wait, I know that. That's recent.
Not only recent, season 2 tomorrow night.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I remember seeing the ads for it, so I'll probably see it when I pull Crunchyroll up sometime this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch the latest Jujutsu Kaisen today.
I still need to catch up on that. Yeah, I had an article on that, but I didn't put it in. But that's for the manga. Sorry, but
I got you. No, I'm up on it. Believe it or not, it's really the story that they're telling is pretty. It's animated in some crazy ways. Sure. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that sounds like Mappa. But where we are right now is Bleach 1000-year Blood War unleashes a completely original Bankai for the anime. And for those that don't know, the Bankai is pretty much their super moves. I'm sure the fans of Bleach, did you already know that? I'm like, yeah, you're being reductive, but hey, guess what? You'll be fine. I am not caught up on Thousand Year Blood War or Bleach in general, as I keep saying, but I really, really want to because I'm hearing good things about this. And I like Bleach. I really enjoyed Bleach when I watch it, except for, well, probably except for the fact that the one part I keep getting stuck on when I go back to it. But that's that's filler, and that's kind of what happens. Next up.
So, a fan studio is taking a new crack at Guts and the Band of the Hawk in Berserk with the Black Swordsman. So I've tried watching Berserk.
Mhm.
It's a little on the tough watch side. But then I understood that I was watching it out of order, and I was like, oh, why did I do this? So I kind of withdrew and have not returned. But it's nice that a fan studio is coming to, I guess, do a new adaptation.
Mm-hmm. But I want to say not the first time.
Like I don't want to go into I don't want to go into all of this, but it's cool that that this is a fan made project.
And probably I'll stick a little bit more closer to the manga, I would assume. I don't recall whether the original anime did or not. But yeah, I was going to just say, not the first time I've heard about... I know there are people who love Berserk, but probably not the first time it was kind of hard to watch. Or kind of a bit to get through.
Right.
So... let's see. Bink. Digimon Adventure 2, The Beginning, flashes back to the original anime in a special trailer. So yeah, there's going to be another Digimon movie that is going to premiere in Japan the end of this month, October 27th. And it takes up, it's the sequel to Last Evolution, Kazuno, which I still haven't seen. And a sequel to the original Digimon Adventure, which was the original Digimon series for those, Digimon are the champions, and folks have grown up. If I remember what I do know about that last movie is might have been the last fight for a couple of the older members of the crew, and it kind of takes up. Seems to be taken up from there. With I guess the second series. So yeah, there you go. Fans of that, check it out when that happens. Next up.
All righty, so we're moving on into the manga corner, I guess. The manga news. I'm scrolling down. So, Spy Family creator Tetsuya Endo announced a surprising delay for Chapter 88, the next installment of the Spy Family manga. So, it was, I guess, initially scheduled to come out over this past weekend, and the creator behind it all surprised fans with the announcement of a major delay. So, let's see here. There would be a delay for the next chapter until Monday, October 16th, due to the creator not being able to submit the manuscript in time. Okay. I mean, come on, folks. That's not that big a delay.
Well, it's not. But, people, how fans get.
Yeah.
So, and actually, yes, this would have been the more perfect place for me to put my transition. But hey, I was excited.
Yeah, it's all right.
Wow, what's going on here? Speaking of Jujutsu Kaisen, there is a new game coming out, and there is a new trailer for said game that is been released. It is called Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash, which, if from the name sounds like what it is, I probably won't be playing it. Let's see. Yep, it is a 2v2 3D action brawler. And again, there's some gameplay and a new playable character that is introduced in the trailer that is attached to the story here. So yeah, next up. Actually, the trailer is not attached, unless that's where that's supposed to be, but hey. But it's going to be for all current platforms, including the Switch and PC. And of course, coming from the folks at Bandai Namco. So not surprised there. Next up.
So we're getting more info on this big crossover between the legendary Monsterverse and the DC Universe. And we're finding out we're going to see the Justice League facing off against monsters, including Behemoth and Warbat. And Superman is going to end up fighting Godzilla in Metropolis. There's a lot of stuff going on with this. Whether or not it's canon, who cares? It's kind of fun to see the superheroes take on these big kaiju monster people types.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to say it's probably not, but I agree. So this is some old news, but I think it's about to come out soon, is why I'm bringing it up. Apparently there's going to be a crossover with Batman and, wait for it, Santa Claus. Who are going to unite according to this? Yeah, who are going to, according to this article, unite for a brutal crime story this Christmas, because nothing says Christmas like Batman and Santa Claus teaming up.
Of course.
And of course, in true fashion, it is called Batman Santa Claus Silent Night with a K.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I just got to read this part. Santa Claus teams up with Batman to find out who's truly been naughty or nice, which is a in the aforementioned title, which is a 4-part crossover event written by Jeff Parker, drawn by Michelle Bandini, with cover art and variant covers by Dan Mora, Otto Schmidt, Derek Chu, Tony Chastain, and Ben Oliver. So yeah, I think this probably came out of the December solicits, but I didn't catch it at the time, which was, again, this article was from like August. But this is going to be released, or at least the first issue is going to be released on December 5th. So, just so it can wrap up in time for Christmas. And you can also watch that storied Christmas movie, Die Hard. So, yeah. Next up.
Okay, so spoiler alert for the pages of the content in the pages of Batman and Robin #1. Apparently, Damian Wayne is, at least in the pages of the story, the perfect code name for his adult hero persona may have been introduced. So, that's interesting because while there are a multitude of Robins, several of them, not all of them, but several of them have taken on different code names as they have, quote unquote, graduated from the role of Robin.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this one sounds stupid.
Yeah. Not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Also, I did notice in this article, it mentions that apparently grown-up Damien is still not only reading manga, but apparently writing his own. So that I'm glad they kept that from the Robin series. But also the character's name is not surprising, Damian Vane. So yeah, crickets. Little self-insert there. Anyway, come on, next story is Power Girl has a new secret identity, which I honestly really didn't know her old secret identity, but I do remember from recent readings of things her name was Paige. So apparently her new identity is Dr. Paige Stetler. She works for the Daily Planet as a tech columnist. So, I wonder who got her that job. Yeah, right. Nepotism, folks. Let me stop. But yeah, apparently she's a little bit more in line with the rest of the super family at this point, which I guess I saw shades of in the Steel, the Steel series that's going on now. So yeah, but also now that I think about it, I saw that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that stupid commercial popped up. I hate hate him. This is why I might have to end up stopping using CBR. Anyway, but yeah, she's got a new secret identity now, and yeah, all continues to go well. but she's still the feisty apparently. Next up, though.
James Gunn announced in a tweet that he will play a new role in spotlighting the DCU's heroes and villains with the help of a new official book. The book, titled Strange and Unsung All-Stars of the DC Multiverse, a visual encyclopedia, will be a visual encyclopedia written by Nubia and the Amazons and Wakanda comic writer Stephanie Williams. The book will also feature a foreword by Gunn himself and is now available to pre-order ahead of a November 7th release date. Okay.
Yeah, I saw the reason why I saw this at all was because I saw her. She was so proud to get a copy of the book. I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. So good. I'm happy for her and all this. She's been doing some good stuff. So cool beans. Jerry Duggan reveals the location of Iron Man and Emma Frost's honeymoon, and it's probably where would folks like that go? Apparently, they're going to Hawaii. So. I don't know if we're going to see that, but yeah. Or I guess we are going to see it in 11. So yeah, there you go, folks. We'll talk about that more when that issue comes out. Next up,
Marvel releases the cover and interior art for Jonathan Hickman's new Ultimate Universe. So Marvel's Ultimate Universe #1's cover and interior artwork show Thor, Iron Man, and more in the extra-sized one-shot issue. So I don't know if I'm completely on board with this new Ultimate Universe that's going to come out on November 1st, but I'll probably take a look at it, much like I did with the original Ultimate Universe. Whether or not I collect anything, it's left up to myself and my wallet. But ultimately, I'll take a look at it.
Right. I think the most I still got from that stuff is trades.
I collected the Ultimates.
Right.
Back then.
And that's specific. Yeah, exactly.
I collected the Ultimates when Miles was introduced. I picked up his first appearance, which is a good thing because it's it's now worth a few bucks. But yeah, like I was very much out on most of the Ultimate Universe, so.
They did some weird shit too, yep. So, and it was Bendis, so we gotta go figure. But yeah, some shit happened.
Mark Miller was doing the Ultimate stuff. So.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Maybe that was what I'm thinking about. But Bendis was.
Oh, yeah, he was doing Ultimate Spidey, yeah.
Right. But no, I'm thinking of the Ultimate stuff, and that was Miller. So yeah, you're right. That's where some of the weird stuff was, like.
Oh, there's plenty of weird stuff in the X stuff too, in the X-Men stuff, the Ultimate X-Men stuff.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That is the right phrasing for that. Right. So but yeah, I was gonna say I'm probably gonna check it out. But yeah, I want to kind of go back and I don't know why revisit the old stuff. And as folks may or may not know, the Ultimate Universe is the basis for the MCU. So it's going to be curious as what's going to fold back into this new universe, if anything. From that, which we've talked about before. Marvel announces 2023 New York Comic Con booth schedule, signings, merchandise, giveaways, and more. We know Agent 70 is going to be on deck there next week. So this is pretty much just showing the telling what the Marvel stuff is going to happen. So we know he and one Matt Wayne 97 is going to be here, and this is pretty much all of the panels and everything. The next big thing panel, which is probably going to have some more announcements of stuff and whatnot, as they tend to do at these things. So, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Next up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Oh, actually, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's going to be an interesting New York Comic Con next week. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. I'll say very quickly, I know we're still in the middle of the news and, we will be talking about what our schedule may be next week, which obviously is in flux and probably subject to change because, that's the way things are. But ultimately, our priorities change over time. We get not even older, but they just change over time when it comes to Comic Cons. And I feel like, these announcements, it used to be super fun being there live to hear them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's such a priority anymore. but it's still nice to be in the building when they happen.
Okay.
You know, that's just the one thing I want to say about that before, because obviously we will talk about our schedule for next week towards the end of the show, but I wanted to mention that.
Sure. So I wanted to mention.
I'm sorry.
Well, before we go on, I wanted to mention this to you, Agent 70, since you are going to be there. This may or may not be of interest to you because I'm reading this article, and it says that Hasbro is going to have that, going to show that Giant Man figure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw an article about that.
And also, it looks like they're giving away copies of the Marvel Multiverse RPG rulebook, the core rulebook that just came out, and they're going to be talking about the new expansion that's going to come out that is around. Okay, so hey, if you want a copy of that, you know, maybe you'll get one while you're there.
Hey,
So,
if
you have any interest in it, at the very least, interested in it.
Pick it up just to read, just to have it.
Right.
It's still in my Amazon cart, for later.
Well, right, but hey, if you end up having to pay for it, if you can get one here, hey, there you go. Anyway, next up though.
All right. So check this out. Adidas launches new Marvel Spider-Man 2 gaming-inspired Peter Parker Advanced Suit and Venom collection. So Marvel Spider-Man 2 arrives globally on October 20th, not far from now, for the PlayStation 5 console. I actually dig this image of the Adidas Ultra 4D Advanced.
Mm-hmm.
I might actually wear that. That's actually kind of cool looking.
It's not a bad looking shoe, all told. I mean, I'm not even a big sneakerhead, but I was like, okay, this is a little restrained.
Yeah, I like this. Listen, I'm a fan of those Asics X-Men sneakers, the Kith ones.
Yeah.
But those are in like blind boxes. I'm like, that's crazy. I can't do that.
Yeah. So for those who are not watching the video version and can't see the issue, it's pretty much the shoe in Spider-Man colors with Black Soul with a little Venom symbiote creeping up on the side.
Exactly, and that's really a cool look.
Mm-hmm.
That's really a cool look. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's restrained as opposed to how crazy they could have done. So I probably won't buy them, but yeah, I'm liking that. Looks pretty cool.
Right. So it's going to be available on October 20th via the Adidas app, online, in stores, and in selected retailers. So I'm going to take a look for those because I like that shoe. That's a nice looking shoe. I am not the big sneakerhead, but I have recently kind of updated an old roster of sneakers, kind of got rid of a couple old pairs and brought some new pairs in. And since I took up a sport again, I needed to get some sport specific sneakers for that.
Sure.
But I will say that I do not own a single pair of Adidas.
Right.
I'm a Nike person. I have one pair of Asics, and that's for a specific sport, but I do not own a pair of Adidas sneakers. I have Adidas warm-ups. When I show up to play, I'm usually wearing Adidas like warm-up pants or a sweatshirt, but I do not have a pair of sneakers. This might actually be the first pair of Adidas sneakers I own in a long time.
And of course, you can't go too far without saying my Adidas, which I still don't have to drop for you.
Walk through concert doors and roll all over Coliseum floors.
Yep.
Absolutely. I stepped on stage at Live Aid.
What? All the people gave and the poor got paid.
Yep.
Still hip hop's 50 first. We're gonna ride this for the rest of the year and beyond. Anyway, Marvel releases a set of tarot cards and the guidebook. They're featuring Wolverine, Loki, and more. So yeah, 78 card tarot deck. I weirdly kind of want this, even though I'm not in the tarot, but I am in the cards. So that is my fatal failing. See, the deck in the guidebook was written by Sidney Barwick and illustrated by Lynn McDowell. The cards pretty much got a bunch of Marvel characters on it in various tarot-like forms. It is on sale now. I don't see a price. So yeah. Next up.
I got the Marvel Legends article. Marvel
Mhm.
Legends The Void. Build-A-Figure Wave is going up for pre-order. It's already up for pre-order as of October 3rd. So this is a very interesting wave, and Roddykat and I were just talking about this.
Mhm.
It's not exactly filled with fan favorites, which kind of scares me. The Build-A-Figure is the character The Void, and that's not exactly like, a character that is, in demand. But the wave consists of the Squadron Supreme Power Princess. I know we're slowly building out the Squadron Supreme. Namorita, the comic version of Namorita, an updated version of the Vision on the new pinless technology, which is, I think, a draw for a lot of people.
Yeah.
The one character I really want to pick up is the new Warrior's Justice, because this is the costume he was wearing when he was an Avenger also.
Right.
This version of the Black Panther, the Marvel Knights version, the late 90s version costume is intriguing, because I think this is the costume he's also wearing when he's on the Busiek Perez Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's 70, and I was talking before the show. I'm debating this one, but go on.
Yeah, and finally, the Void looks cool, but the Void is also, well, no, not finally, because 90s Namor with all his crazy hair, that eye, I'm not a fan of that eye. The eyes, the eye makeup, that's kind of whack.
Also,
but
a weird pull.
Yeah, but they, because Namor is, their Crystar, Marvel's Crystar is in an interesting pull.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Oh yeah. Marvel's Crystar, right? But the Void being the Build-A-Figure, I mean, yeah, if you're gonna like have the Sentry's, other side,
Yeah,
right?
I guess.
They're running out of characters to make Build-A-Figures out of.
But also, wait, what version of Namorita is this? Because I thought she was pink.
They must have evolved her at some point to be blue.
I would assume, but yeah, like I don't remember this version of Namorita, so.
Right, because she was pink with the New Warriors.
Right. But also Power Princess. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like this new Vision, I got a Vision already. But this is still a potential. I got a Vance Astro, but this is the new Warriors. This is the, as I just say, New Warriors Avengers version. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is the figure that I probably will target. The Black Panther is a nice get because that particular style of costume for him came around at a time when I was reading books that he was in, and obviously the Marvel Knights version also, the Marvel Knights book.
The Priest book, I believe.
Yes.
The same. Yeah, that was the one. So that would be the other reason for me to get it. But Crystar of all places, of all.
Hey,
of all
you know
characters.
what? You gotta revive the license somehow, or renew the license somehow.
Yeah, but who knows of that's a very early 80s thing, if I'm not mistaken, or is it late 70s, early 80s, if I'm not mistaken? But
I mean, listen, we're digging deep to the archives for these waves, Well,
you call it like being Bruce West. Digging is one word to say about it. Shoveling.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's a far more harsh critic than I.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't think he specifically said that, but I'm pretty sure something similar has been said. I remember seeing him say it. But regardless, move right along. Hey, guess what, folks? You want some Doctor Who in your Magic the Gathering? Well, guess what? You are in luck, as the two will cross over with each other, and not surprisingly, into a set of Commander decks, Doctor Who themed Commander decks. Which is a version of Magic that I won't go into because I don't really play it. But regardless, so yeah, there's going to be the first 4 Doctors are going to be going to have their own decks, which me being me, you'll probably get the 4th Doctor because that's the one I came in with. But yeah, the 4 decks are going to represent different eras, and is going to be, filled with some stuff that I'm pretty sure is probably going to be canon, and looks like it's probably already out. For for some sort of money. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what they're doing here. Gotcha. So yeah, they are going through the different eras. I guess the first four Doctors are going to be in one box, and some of the newer Who's, including David Tennant's version and Jodie. I forgot her last name already. The newest, the last Doctor Who, which is not David Tennant, who just came back. That version is going to be represented. So there you go. Next up,
Image Comics is giving James Tynion IV's World Tree or World Tour 33 another reprint. So issue number 5, like its predecessors, receives another reprinting due to popular demand. All right, I had no idea this was that popular.
Yeah, neither did I. We keep seeing it every now and then in the box, but it's like, I don't know. Next up, end of an era for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in that Sophie Campbell, who has been writing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, since looks like the 101st issue, is leaving the series with 150. So it says here the build up to 150 starts in issue 145, which kicks off the Road of 150 branding, and the new story arc will see the Turtle family divided and Donatello taking it upon himself to stop the rise of a new villain called Armagon. And apparently, unfortunately, it's too late. So I don't know if there's any word of who's going to come in after she ends, if anything. But yeah, that's an impressive enough run to go out on. I mean, 50 issues is nothing to sneeze at these days, especially. Next up.
All right, so spoiler alert for Void Rivals number 3. Was this last week or this week?
Wait, is it 3 or 4? I guess it is 3. Yeah, that was 3. 3. Yeah, it was last week.
Last week, right? So guess what? In that issue, it brought back a classic Transformers character. Not gonna spoil it. It's only a week old.
4 was the last one.
Oh, 4. I'm sorry.
No. Because 3 had some stuff also, but 4. So this is what I was going to bring up real quick. Right. Yeah, you read through 4, and it's the story that's going on in Void Rivals. It's kind of enemy mine or warring for factions, whatever, blah 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 blah. Right in the middle of the story, it just cuts away, just right in the middle of the story, and here's this Transformer, for a page. Right. Dealing with somebody who came with another Transformers adjacent character who showed up in 3, or a couple of showing up in 3, and I'm sitting here like, that was just out of the blue. Like, now you're just getting crazy with it, because I was thinking it was going to be a little closer tied to Transformers number 1, which was not directly, but it was like, that was just abrupt. It was kind of funny, and for those who are curious, it's Shockwave.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't going to spoil it, but okay.
I mean, that's a week old. It's fine. Next up.
All right.
Speaking of Transformers number 1, Dirt told us about this beforehand, but Transformers number 1 sells out before it even hit the store, before it even gets the printings hit the first store. So it's getting a second printing. I actually might try to go see if I can hunt down a copy, honestly. But yeah, so it's gonna get a second printing, and actually going back to Void Rivals for a second, there's another variant cover for it that pretty much spoils who shows up in that thing also, which was kind of funny, because certain places are taking that as the main cover, which is not. Anyway, so yeah, good on Skybound, good on Hasbro, good on Transformers number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprised, to be honest, because Transformers fans as well as G.I. Joe fans. I'm pretty sure G.I. Joe is probably going to be somewhat similar in this respect, but we'll see.
Right.
Next up.
Next and last in terms of our stories tonight, Terry Moore sets a science fiction graphic novel for 2024 and teases the end of single issues. So the Strangers in Paradise creator is announcing more about his new project. in April. So during a live stream, Strangers in Paradise creator Terry Moore told fans that he plans to write a new graphic novel in 2024, which he will crowdfund on Kickstarter. The as yet untitled book will be set in space and will be a hybrid of comics and prose, an approach Moore has taken before. The story will not be a part of the Terryverse, the shared universe that has connected all of his existing comics previously.
Which
Robin Moore, his wife and publisher, also said that she thinks they may together be done with single issue comics and be moving fully into original graphic novels in the future.
bold move. I feel like the only thing I know of Terry Moore is like Love and Rockets, if I'm not mistaken. Is it
Strangers in Paradise.
There we go. Yeah, I always get those confused, and it says right there. But regardless, I've heard of it. I just never read it.
Right.
Actually, this is not the last the last move, because I forgot I pulled this one. But no, it's fine. This one's quick.
Roddykat not giving me all the stories. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I have Toy Corner, by the way, after this. So.
Yes, you do. Actually, this is good news because Chris Claremont, Bill Griffith, George Perez, Walter, and Louise Simonson, and Marv Wolfman are named to the Harvey Hall of Fame and will be recognized during a ceremony during New York Comic Con.
Yay! That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So I saw that. I was like, yeah, I got to put this in here real quick. Those are some names that we know and have enjoyed. Most of them. And sadly, some of them are not with us.
Yep. Rest in peace, George Perez.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, now that
I look forward to seeing Walt and Wheezy. I usually see Walt, but I don't always see Wheezy. But lately, in more recent years, Wheezy's usually sitting with him. Right. If they have a table if he has a table on his own. If he's being hosted by another company, sometimes he's there by himself.
Right. Well, and now that she's got that Jean, I guess she's doing the green Jean Grey, and she's got Power Pack coming out, and
right.
she got her own stuff kind of popping up like recently.
Right.
That'd be another reason for her to be there. So that's cool. And I'm sure you'll catch up with Charles Soule if it's going to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. There's a group. I haven't picked up anything Soule has been writing in a while, but it's always fun to say hello. So.
He's kind of all in on Star Wars at this point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because I know he's probably got some sides, like some creator-owned stuff, but that's the only thing I know that he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I remember when he was big pushing Letter 44.
Right. Yeah, I still need to finish that or read that.
Right. I have not finished reading that. I think I've read the first trade.
Yeah, because that seemed all right. So with that, folks, we are going to push this along. I think Agent 7 did say he had a Toy Corner, which I'm going to give him
very quickly.
Give him the spotlight right there.
Yeah, so very quickly, I wanted to just show a few things that came in this past week. The first salvo in the X-Men 97 figures came to me this week. I'm going to shut my virtual background off for the people on video so that you guys can see this. Nah, blur doesn't help. All right. There we go. So, this is the Storm from the X-Men 97 Marvel Legends, and believe it or not, the drawing on the box is actually a very, very strong depiction of the figure. And it's actually pretty cool. We had questions about the hairstyle that would be on this figure. It's a nice kind of like mohawk / like kind of full hairdo, right? That Storm has. I can imagine like modifiers, like popping that head off and putting it on all sorts of different Storm figures, just to get that look on a different costume. But I did not have the original white costume Storm, so I'm glad to have this because I got the black costume one instead when it first came out. This version with the cape. So I'm glad to have this. Next up, believe it or not, sometimes good things comes good things come to those who wait. Sometimes it's not a hard and fast rule. It's not. Sometimes you miss out on stuff and you're never able to find it. Forget even for a decent price. You know what I mean? So I hemmed and hawed for many a moon about getting this wave of the Fantastic Four. I did pick up one figure previously, which was the flamed on Johnny Storm with the black details, the black stripes on him that were long famous, and that I picked that particular figure up because I thought that was just a great way of rendering the Human Torch, and I declined at the time to pick up the rest of the wave because it was the burn blue and white costume, like the negative zone reversal costume. And ultimately, that's the FF of our youth. That's the FF of the 80s. Even though I read a lot of, comics that predated that, a lot of the FF costumes, a lot of the FF art that we saw going into even the early 90s, just before things went a little sideways for the FF, had the blue and white. And I ended up picking up not one, not two, not three, but all four of the FF wave, of the burn FF wave. So first up is Reed, Mr. Fantastic in the lab coat. All right, with the different looking stretchy arms, the stretchy fingers, really. There he is for the people on video. It's kind of cool. I like the lab coat. And next up is, the much maligned version of Sue Storm. I'm not a fan of the facial sculpt on this, but you know what? It's still not terrible. I looked at it very closely, and Roddykat and I had made some kind of off-color jokes about lighting and the effects of it on certain things. Next up is Benjamin Jacob Grimm, the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It has a nice little alternate head and the blue and white trunks. And last but not least is the variant of the group. The variant of the group is actually the Human Torch in human form, non-flamed on form, in the blue and white burn costume. And it's interesting because I'm reminded that, as Roddykat reminded me, that the animated series from the 90s used this color scheme, and it is the animated series from the 90s that is depicted on the box art. So, it's kind of fun to see. So, what's funny about this wave is that I still have not picked up the Psycho Man or the High Evolutionary, the comic book version of the High Evolutionary. Those are the other two figures in this wave, in this assortment. So, but yeah, I picked up these four figures for less than what it would cost to pick up two full-priced figures, two current-priced full-priced figures. The entire wave. I mean, all four figures, that is, not the wave, all four figures. So sometimes good things come to those who wait. You are muted. You are muted.
Yep. I was about to say, sadly, no Herbie and no She-Hulk, who are also among the animated
so
version.
The Herbie was previously released.
Right, I know, but
right, we did get a Herbie with the Sue that was in the traditional blue and black.
Wait, did you ever get that one? I can't remember.
I did. I have that whole group. Okay. The original Walgreens release.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The original Walgreens release. So yep. I did get that. We do not have a She-Hulk in FF uniform though.
Right. So get on that, Hasbro, because we know it's probably coming anyway.
I mean, we're getting Crystar.
Yeah.
I just want a ROM Space Knight. Please give me a ROM Space Knight. If Marvel got the license back to publish, I want a ROM Space Knight Marvel Legends. Do you have any idea how happy a certain corner of the fandom will be?
Specifically you. Potentially they could do it either way because it's Hasbro either way. I guess.
Right.
So,
Right, they'd share in the profits,
right.
but it wouldn't be under the Marvel Legends banner
Right.
necessarily. Putting it under the Marvel Legends banner, though, would really give it that kind of exposure.
Mm. Oh.
Well, watch them kill me and make it a Build-A-Figure.
I was just about to say that exact thing.
Watch, just watch. They're gonna make Rom Space Knight a Build-A-Figure and throw in like 5 figures that I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and buy.
A dire wraith. So I remember, from what I remember correctly, I think my cousin had the Rom figure, and I think it was like, wasn't it like 12 inches?
Yeah, it was.
Like
it was a big figure. It was a tall figure.
Yeah, and my cousin had that. I was like, oh, I don't know who this is, but that's a cool looking robot. Then
Yeah.
Then
I would be very, very happy with the Rom Space Knight Marvel Legends. Like, I would not care who, like, that would be like front and center on my bookshelf, like behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Rom freaking Space Knight, man.
Get on it, Marvel and Hasbro. All right, folks, we're going to get into one last ad read before we get out of here.
All righty, our last ad read of the night. We've been on this for a while. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, etc., especially Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
Oops. That should not be minimized. There we go. All right, folks. We're going to get out here. But first, a little programming note. Next week, as we have said a couple times during the show, is New York Comic Con. And Agent 70 is going to be pretty much there, part and parcel, full and barrel, and all of his glory. So, hey, if you see him, say hey.
Yeah, I'll be there all 4 days. The weather's not supposed to be great, which sucks. I do not like carrying around a wet umbrella in the Javits. That's terrible. But I will probably be there Thursday evening, all day Friday, most of the days Saturday and Sunday. So, look for me, say what's up. I will be out and about. I'll be taking photos, much sharper this year. That's kind of like an inside joke between myself and Roddykat. My photos will be much sharper. This lots more pixels, let's say, and it'll be an interesting time. My collecting habits have evolved. My Comic-Con habits have evolved over time. It's very interesting to see the evolution of it over time, and what I'm drawn to, what I look for, what I spend time on when I'm there. So I'm looking forward to it, and I will report back, if not next week, the week after, because, as I said, our schedule is kind of wacky when New York Comic Con is around. Whether or not we do a show or we skip a week and come back, we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll have, at least one episode of Loki in addition to it. So,
Yep. Okay.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. That's all. The best we can say is stay tuned.
Yeah, and how you can stay tuned is if you could do the follow us on the following. I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me News As Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. For as long as that's going to be there. PCN_dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Network on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, and all the umbrella sites they're in. And Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter, and CB Cron on Twitter, also The Kliq Nation on Twitter, that's TheKliqNation, TheKliqNation.com, spelled the same way. But most importantly, Tim's over at comicbook.com writing his face off under the name Timothy Adams, which is his name. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
Yeah. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Course of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, so people can find us.
Yeah. And of course, you can mostly find us every Thursday night within with certain exceptions like tonight and probably next week on on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/the Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. We appreciate anybody who come watches either versions of those or the other version, whether live or after the fact. Appreciate it.
Right. Make sure to click like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when we are on. But also bear in mind that this fall is very busy for us. We have several things going on. There is, in fact, a movie protocol night not too far away. Let's see how that plays out on all of our calendars as well. So just stay informed, keep following us on the socials, and listen to the show to get some of the latest news on what we're doing in terms of broadcast and recording times.
I can safely say we're not going to have another movie protocol like we did during this summer, so or at least anytime soon.
That was a little crazy. The summer of 2023 movie protocol was a little nuts.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. So, and with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
What's on your evil mind? Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?